Hello, students. Today is our first lecture after midterm, and our topic is today stratification, social inequality, and stratification. Let me share the screen with you first. So, stratification and social mobility, that is chapter 9 from Richard Schaeffer's book. Um, and this is in sociology. This is the most important topic because if you just look at our textbook, you will find there are different aspects of stratification and social inequality that Richard Schaeffer covered in this textbook. Not only this text, every text we will find social inequality, different dimensions of social inequality, income inequality or economic inequality, then global inequality, racial inequality, gender inequality. So different aspects of inequality covered in sociology. So that's why this is the most important topic. And in my today's lecture, I will cover three topics. First, I will talk about conceptualization of inequality and stratification. That is, what is social inequality, what is stratification. That first I will talk about. Then Marxist view of inequality and Max Weber's view of inequality. So that's the second topic I will cover. And the third topic I cover today, that is inequality universal? And is inequality universal? That we discuss from the perspective of functionalism and conflict perspective. So let's first start what is inequality and what is stratification. Let's say I have a class of 40 students. So when I see my students and when I look at myself, I can see there are different types of inequality. We in the classroom, we differ from one to another in terms of our income, our family income. So one student's family income is different from another student's family income, and so there's inequality. Then you will find the sexual identity. So there are some boys, there are some girls. So another types of inequality. Also, different students coming from different religion, different students coming from different racial and ethnic identity. That could be another inequality. And so in this way it goes on. And obviously you will find some are having more prestige, some are having less prestige, determined by different factors. So it describes a condition in which members of society have different amounts of wealth, prestige, or power. And when we talk about stratification, that stratification is a very sociological concept. When we talk about stratification, and if you see, okay, let's say in my class I have 40 students. Now what I do, let's say I want to divide these students, categorize these students on the basis of family income. So I asked students, okay, can you please share your family income? Then I found that some students' family income more than, let's say, imagine more than 50,000 taka per month. Some students' family income between around 30,000 or between 30,000 and 50,000 family income, and some students' family income less than 30,000 per month. So then I categorize three different groups. So let's say students whose family income more than 50,000 taka. So I label them as a upper class. Then students whose family income between 30,000 and 50,000, let's say, is middle class. Then students whose family income less than 30,000, okay, so lower class. So now first there's inequality of income, but now what I'm doing, I'm creating three different types of groups of students of my class. One upper class having more income, one middle class having income less than upper but greater than lower, and one's income lower class, very they're bottom in that classroom. So when I do this, then I can arrange them in order, like, okay, highest income upper class, then in order the middle class, then in order is the lower class. So there's a hierarchy now, I find: upper class, middle class, lower class. And when we do this kind of hierarchy, upper to lower, lower to upper, then obviously you will find that actually some students that belong a particular class, they feel that they are privileged on the basis of higher income. They are a privileged class, and because of their position in the society of that privileged class being an upper class, now we will find sometime in the society they get differential treatment from the society. And maybe they for some work it is easy, very easy for them, but the same work, when it comes to the lower class, it's very difficult for them to reach there. So now you will find, oh, so one class is superior, one class inferior because of the hierarchy, and one class is getting some reward, another class not getting that reward. So you will find some are becoming much more powerful, and some class become less powerful. So when we have this kind of uh, structured inequality in our society, then we call it stratification. So stratification is the structured inequality of a group of people, and arranged in order and on the basis of some socioeconomic criteria. So then we call it as a stratification. So I just put one example of income, but you can use other different types of example. But always you will find that there's a hierarchy in the society, and it is very much part of the social structure system. And this is how the social structure is, society is structured. So on the basis of that hierarchy, some are getting much more privileged class, and some are getting less privileged class, and some are getting more like, let's say you want to get a loan from a bank, but being your class position, it's very easy for you. But when a person from middle class or lower class applied for a loan to the bank, maybe because of his class position, it's very difficult for them to get the loan. So in this, we will find that your position in the society, where you belong, it matters. And this is how the society is stratified. Society is how this is stratified, and the more stratified society, you will find that is not healthy for the functioning of a society. So that's why in the practical world we discuss this stratification in terms of social inequality. And this inequality, it can be of different types of inequality. I said that it can be like economic inequality. Like if you see this uh, graph, you will find this is a little bit old, but still you will find here, like in 2010. This is one kind of, you can say, global inequality. So another dimension of inequality. So here you will find that in 2010, let's say we divide the world in between high income countries, middle income countries, and low income countries. So if you compare the high income countries with the low income countries, here we will find that 16% population of this world, they live in high income countries, but uh, they consume 55% of the global income. So 55% of the world's income actually is going to high income countries, where only 16% of the population live. On the contrary, if you look at low income countries, in this world, 72% of the population, they live in lower income countries, but their share of the world income is just 1%. So just 1%. So here you can find here, like here, the poorest 20% of the world's population, they have only 1.4% of the world's income. The poorest 20%, this one. But on the contrary, the richest 20% of the world's population, their income share is around 82.7%. So here, the richest 20%, their income uh, from the world income, their share of income of the world, that is 82%, versus poorest 20% is only 1.4%. So this is highly unequal world, highly unequal world. So you might be heard of Occupy Wall Street. Occupy Wall Street, a revolution started. It happened in the U.S. So again, it was a movement again that 1% of the world's richest population, they actually consume most of the world's income, and other than 99% of the world's population, they do not have very less amount of income of the world's income. So this is why sometimes this kind of movement can happen. And also, if you look the apart from economic inequality, if you look at the social aspect of inequality, you can talk about racism. You can think about what happened just a month back in the U.S. Floyd. So still, this black versus white, this racism still is going on in this world, even into 2020. Then if you think, even in the context of Bangladesh, you can think that Bengali versus non-Bengali, the people who are living in the Chittagong hill tracts, their life, and the people, the mainstream Bengali. So there's another kind of ethnic inequality you will find. So it's all over the place. Then even if you think gender inequality, so another aspect of social inequality, still this is a very universal problem. So the point is, the reason that inequality is still we studying, because it is a global problem. Inequality is a global problem. If you talk about gender inequality, it's a global problem. If you talk about economic inequality, rich countries versus poor countries, or from a country perspective, rich versus poor, it's a global problem. Everybody will find it. And in some countries, it is quite high, some is below. If you talk about, so it's like a climate change. It has become a global problem. Like a terrorism problem, inequalities also has become a global problem. So that's why nowadays people say that when you measure development, it's not only about just how healthy your GDP is, how healthy is your national income is. It's about how lower inequality you have in your country. The lower level of inequality in your country, that means the higher level of development. So this is the new approach of development in today's world. So that's why we must reduce the level of inequality in this world. And let's I share some data from you to see how sometimes how it is very difficult. Okay, I just tell you, like sometimes your position in the society where you belong is very crucial, even in the matter of life and death. If you recall what happened into the Titanic when it sank, later it reveals that around 61% of the passengers who survived in that accident, Titanic. So 61% of the passengers actually is from the first class passengers. So 61% of the passengers who survived, they were from the first class of the ship. And on the contrary, 25% passengers survived. They were from they belong to the third class passengers. So if you, even in the matter of life and death, who were given the opportunity to get a lifeboat, even in that case, it was determined by your social position in the society. Being a first class passengers, they were given the priority to get the lifeboat first. But being a passenger, of being a third class passenger, they were not given the priority to get